In the winning horse, the number of the winning horse is the winner of this contest. So those who are still eligible to win are numbers 5, 6, 12, 16, and 20. And we are about to see who won the Kentucky Derby in 2013.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby. Java's War was off to a slow beginning. A good start for Verrazano and Falling Sky. Falling Sky is the early leader. And now it's My Lucky Day. And coming through on the inside is Golden Sense. And Palace Malice is right up there too in the early mix as well. Then it's Oxbow to the inside. Vijack is on the far outside. In behind them comes Longshot Giant Finish. Frack Daddy Extreme outside. Then Will Take Charge. Normandy Invasion rides the rail as they begin that wild scurry into that first turn. And then it's a length farther back to Overanalyze. Lines of Battle is right there to the outside of horses Golden Soul. And then comes Orb, who is third last as they make their way to the backstretch, ahead of My Lute and Rosie Napravnik. Revolutionary and Calvin Burrell are on the rail in slow starting Java's War. A 45.5 mile, an extremely fast pace set by Palace Malice and Mike Smith, who lead the way up the backstretch. And an unexpected early leader here is Palace Malice. Verrazano is 3 lengths behind, running in second. Vijack, Oxbow, and Gary Stevens are on the rail. And Kevin Krieger has Golden Sense off the pace today. He's fifth as they move for the far turn. The Normandy Invasion, followed by It's My Lucky Day. Down toward the inside is Charming Kitten. After that comes Giant Finish. Nothing yet from Orb. He's still about 15th, but he begins to move up on the far outside. Palace Malice is the leader. He's set a torrid pace so far, and the pack is catching up quickly. Through on the inside is Oxbow, and Normandy Invasion is storming home, and they're into the stretch, and Normandy Invasion has taken the lead on the outside. Orb is coming with giant strides in the center of the track. And here comes Orb on the outside, now to take the lead as they come down to the 16th pole. It is Orb in front from Normandy Invasion, My Lute, and Golden Soul between horses. Down to the wire, Orb has won the Kentucky Derby for Shug McGee. It was Golden Soul. Revolutionary came late on the inside, and then it was Normandy Invasion, and it was Orb today in the Derby. His final time was 2 minutes 2.89 seconds.
16. Okay. Now you want to put there's the evidence. So the winning horse Orb was number 16, and there was only one person here and she's standing up right now. She knows it's her. What are you coming up for? You think there's roses or something like the Derby? You get roses?
Thank you all, and I want to give my winning purse to the Myositis Association.
Wow. Very nice. Thank you. We appreciate that. The contest raised about $1,700 now. We're giving $1,000 out to the winner or winners. So since you returned it, it's a very nice gift to TMA. We appreciate that. We have another drawing. Some of you who went by the MedPro RX booth may know that they were having a drawing for an iPad, and they gave me their slips that were left at the booth. And I'm going to ask Mary Ann Moyer, who is our immediate past chair from the board of directors, to draw the name. And afterward, Mary Ann has some words she'd like to share with you.
So what if I draw my ticket? Okay, for an iPad. Of course, how many people here already have one? Lots. Okay. Teresa Williams. Teresa Williams.
And you're going to donate this? No, okay. There you go. Congratulations. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm going to let Mary Ann talk, but one thing I meant to ask, and when she asked for a show of hands, it reminded me, could we get a show of hands of those who drove to the conference? Look at that. About 80, probably 80%. Okay. Anyway, I want to let Mary Ann share some thoughts with you. Then when she's done, we have one other piece of business, and then we'll move on to the 2 o'clock sessions.
Thank you. Hi there. So I'm your 10%er. Well, TMA is 20 years old. I was chair of the board for 2 years. 2/20ths, I think, works out to about 10%. Jan, you're smiling. You probably have more than 2 years as chair. But in 2011 and 2012, I was blessed to be the chair, and now they have this new title for me, Immediate Past Chair, IPC. I'm not sure what that means, but it means I get to stick around for a while, so that's a good thing. So in 2012, you heard me say at the last session that I was answering a question that a board that had come up at the Meet the Board session, which is what we have tomorrow. And somebody said, just what exactly does the board do? Do you all just sit around and have a good time and go to meetings? No, we try to work hard. And one of the things that we've done over the last couple years is put additional focus on our new mission statements, which is 3 things. We said, number 1, we would, not that we haven't done these in the past, but we would place more emphasis on, number 1, supporting patients and their families, which maybe wasn't quite as much of an emphasis as it is now. So number 1, supporting patients and their families. Number 2 is that we would, and again, not that we weren't doing it, but we would increase the communications between our beloved medical advisory board and the general medical community and the patient community. So the MAB would be more involved in the day-to-day lives of those of us who deal with myositis. And then the third thing was to try to raise more money for research. And so I have to tell you, you've done it. I asked you to become involved, to support the board, to help us, to do the kinds of things that the board is doing at our level, but to do some of this at your level. I have a lot of contact with people that I've met around the country from various support groups. I have been on the conference calls that Charlia holds with the KIT leaders. I have visited other support groups. I get emails from lots of people that I meet at conferences, and what I'm hearing is that you are doing these things. You are having the support functions take a bigger and bigger role of your groups. You are active in things like recognizing Myositis Awareness Day. You're having fundraisers and walkathons and awareness raisers and things like that. So you've done a good job. And there's probably some people out there saying, I don't know what I could do. I'm not sure that I could be much help. And I understand that. I understand where you're coming from, that you might question whether or not there's anything that you can do to help. And so I want to just relate a story to you that comes out of the Gospel of St. John in the New Testament. And whether you read the Bible or not, you probably have heard the story of Jesus feeding 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fishes. And the story goes that, Jesus had been giving this wonderful talk to 5,000 people that were sitting around him. It came time for mealtime, and there was no food. And somebody came up with a basket with 5 barley loaves and 2 fishes. And the entire 5,000 was fed. So, okay, that's a miracle. We all recognize that as a miracle. But I want you to look at it from a slightly different story. I want you to think about, the story tells us that it was a young boy that walked up with that basket. And he didn't say, what I have to give is probably worthless. He just said, here's my basket. I'd like to make this available to see if it'll make a difference. And lo and behold, it did. So I think the real miracle, yes, feeding the 5,000, but there's a real miracle of faith there, where this kid thought that his little effort would make a difference. And I think that's the kinds of things that you all are doing. I think that whether you belong to a support group or not, whether you are a support group leader, You've met people here at this conference, whether you're a myositis patient or whether you're a myositis patient's loved one. You've met people here that you maybe never met before, or maybe you've renewed a friendship with someone that you met at a previous conference. How about just one email this year that says, hey, I was thinking of you. Did you ever get that problem fixed with your car? Did your mother get better? Did you ever, whatever. Follow up, touch base with people. We need to hear from each other. And that's what Keep in Touch meetings are all about. Find ways to keep in touch. If it's a caregiver, God bless them. Those are the ones we most need to keep in touch with. Hey, how you doing? Did you get his wheelchair fixed? Did you get her doctor to agree to change the medications? What can you do to help support the patients and their families on just whatever small basis you can? On the doctors' things, I have to tell you that yes, the Medical Advisory Board has a commitment that they're going to keep in touch with the doctors. But each of us goes to a doctor, or 2 doctors, or 10 doctors. Count them all. Take a TMA brochure, take some information on your kit, buy those information cards, do whatever you can to tell your doctors that TMA exists. Heck, we're trying to make their lives easier. I would think that if I was a doctor, I would want to know that TMA and support groups are available, because then hopefully people are not going to be complaining to me about all the stuff they're complaining about. They can talk within their group and find out what's going on. So you have the ability to support the MAB, and it's small. We're not asking you to go out and do a lecture to the American Rheumatological Society. I'm just saying, next time you see your roomie, or even your GP, or maybe even your dentist, mention TMA. Mention that we have support groups, and you've made that little bitty small difference. And as for the money raising, small differences, every little bit counts. You've heard us say that. I'll give you an example. There's a guy who last year was one of the recipients of what we called a scholarship or financial aid. He couldn't afford to come to the conference, but we were able to give him the money to help him with his registration and the hotel. He pledged that he would give back, and he's been sending TMA $5 and $10 checks whenever he can get them. Small, but what he's done is he's made a commitment to TMA. And by the way, he's since been re-diagnosed. He doesn't even have myositis now. He doesn't have myositis, but he's so grateful to what we did, for what we did, that he felt like he wanted to support us. So there are little ways that you can support us. Yes, if there's a fundraiser, yes, if there's a 20 for 20, all those kinds of things certainly go to help. But every little bit, be that little boy. What loaves and fishes have you got? So there are people who give in all kinds of ways. I want to thank Bob and his entire staff. I think that the kinds of things that TMA does for us are just outstanding, and they deserve a great big hand. Bob, Aisha, Charlia, and Teresa. There's Augie DeAugustinis and the entire board. We're all volunteers. Some of us have myositis. Some of us love someone with myositis. We do everything that we can. I thank all of the people that I work with on that. And then I want to thank the Myositis Medical Advisory Board. Those are volunteers also, and bless them for what they're doing. You heard them all up here with the kinds of things they're doing. They're giving their loaves and fishes in the way that they can. So for the last 20 years, yes. There have been numerous ways that we've been able to support TMA and the growth of supporting myositis patients over these last 20 years. I hope that 20 years from now, we will be able to achieve TMA's vision statement, which is a world without myositis. Thank you all. Yes, I didn't see that it stopped there.
All right. So I'm going to take maybe 3 more minutes as Mary Ann gets herself seated. That was not planned, and fortunately she is okay. Right. And you got up the right way, too, I watched. Yeah. Anyway, you know, as I said, I raised about $1,700 or $1,800 with that 20 for 20 contest. And I know some of you entered and lost and maybe are a little disappointed, so I wanted to think of a way that everybody here could be winners. And so a couple years ago, some people may know about this, the Myositis Association approached a couple of the breeding farms in Kentucky, and we asked them if they would consider putting the word myositis in the name of one of their racehorses. You know, the reason for it was that we don't have celebrities, we don't have the Michael J. Fox or Christopher Reeve or, you know, whoever you want to think of to draw attention to our disease. So the thought occurred that if we got a racehorse with the word myositis in it, and if the horse did well, you know, the word myositis at least would appear on TV and at racetracks and over the loudspeakers at simulcast centers and, you know, et cetera. So anyway, we had 2 farms agree to do this. One of them named their horse Myositis Miracle, and he really didn't amount to very much. But wait, it gets worse. So Myositis Miracle, and this will give you an idea how the horse racing business operates, was a yearling that they paid $370,000 for and had, you know, real expectations for him. And he only ended up winning $5,000 on the racetrack. And the arrangement with the farm was that they would give TMA the first $50,000 the horse earned. But, you know, so we got a $5,000 check, which was nice. So the other farm, which is the Airdrie Stud, named their horse Stop Myositis. And she was a very, very fast filly that never made it to the racetrack. She just wasn't sound. And so she probably would have done well, but she didn't. She never had a chance to race, though she is being bred. And her first foal is now a 2-year-old, or 2-year-old in January. So possibly he or she will be running next year. So this past, last year, 2012, one of our members of our board, who the owner of Airdrie Stud is Governor Jones. Those from Kentucky probably know Brereton Jones. He's a former governor. And anyway, he came to one of our support group meetings when we talked about getting a horse with the name myositis, or the word myositis in its name. And he had a chance to meet one of our board members whose husband had IBM. And last year, the gentleman with IBM passed away, and I had a chance to talk to the governor, and I said, you know, wouldn't it be nice to name a horse in memory of our board member's husband? So her husband is named Dan, and I suggested to the governor, how about a horse named Myositis Dan? So the governor readily agreed. He's a wonderful gentleman. And anyway, he said, not only am I going to name a horse after her husband, but he said, I'm going to wait and find one of our better horses and, you know, try getting a horse that has some Kentucky Derby potential. That he's going to name a 2-year-old colt. So anyway, the horse is named Myositis Dan. And if you watch the last race, the 2013 Kentucky Derby, you probably noticed how sloppy the track was. It was a very rainy day that day, and Churchill Downs, where the race was run, became a sea of slop. And that was Myositis Dan ran about a month ago now, his first race ever, and he had the misfortune of running at Churchill Downs on that type of sloppy track, and apparently he doesn't like running in slop, as some horses, you know, just don't like the conditions. So anyway, so he had his second race this past Sunday, and they switched tracks. He ran at Keeneland, and Keeneland was dry and fast that day. And for those who understand anything about horse racing, The races at Keeneland in the fall are where the 2-year-old colts, who are potentially Derby contenders, come out, and so they have very, very, very good horses running at Keeneland. And the race that he was in, he had the misfortune of having a $1 million yearling in the race, the 9-horse, running against him. So anyway, Myositis Dan ended up with post position 11. And if Nate is ready, we're going to show you Myositis Dan's race from Keeneland this past Sunday. You'll know where he is. You could be surprised.
They're at the post. And they're off. Myositis Dan and One More Night have early speed. Seal 6 right there as well, and Runkle up on the far outside. Galton away running 5th. Category 6 down toward the inside. Galton and Category start moving up to challenge Seal 6 for the top spot. Seal 6 is the leader, though, by
Seal
3
6
parts of
is
the length.
the $1 million racehorse.
Length. Galton is in 3rd position. Myositis Dan 4th by a head, just outside of One More Night, who's between horses in 5th. Runkle 6th toward the far outside, 5 lengths off the lead. Unstoppable Colby 7th back toward the inside. Rare is outward from the rail in 8th. Brasiliano travels in the 9th spot. Roll All Night is in 10th. Take Me to Hollywood 11th and last. 22 and 3/5 seconds for the opening quarter. Seal 6, the leader, 3 parts of a length. Myositis Dan 2nd. One More Night is 3rd. Runkle moves up now, takes 3rd up on the outside, still 2 lengths off the lead. Rare going to angle wide. Category's going to look toward the inside. Unstoppable Colby and One More Night in behind horses. Myositis Dan and Seal 6 side by side for the lead. Rare keeps moving on the far outside. Brasiliano coming late grandstand side. Myositis Dan has the lead. Rare in 2nd. Brasiliano is leveled off at the 8th pole. Myositis Dan a short lead. Rare is still there, however. Myositis Dan is fighting on for David Flores. Myositis Dan pulls the upset. Rare 2nd, Seal 6 3rd, and Brasiliano was 4th.
There he is. So here's the replay of the stretch run. Anyway, he ran a great race. He beat very, very good horses. He is potentially a Kentucky Derby horse, and he's going to hopefully bring us some publicity. So. And for those who bet the races, he paid $34, and I did not bet him. So I did not want to jinx him. So anyway, you hopefully will hear more about that, but we were fortunate enough that the governor did it, and so far so good. So with that, we're going on to our 2 o'clock sessions, and tomorrow breakfast is back upstairs. I think 8 o'clock. You look in your program.